Hello everyone, welcome back to Atreyu Crochet. So in today's video I'm going to be making this beautiful scarf. This will be the final scarf of this season. I told you I wanted to get up to take 20 by, or I guess before Christmas, and yeah, I'm going to achieve that with this scarf. Things you will need include one skein of yarn. This is medium 4, calls for size 5.5 millimeter hook, that is USI. I have a display of crochet hooks here. The orange is the 5.5, the blue is the J, the 6 millimeter, and this green is the 7 millimeter. Okay, and yes, once again, it's US. I feel like I'm going to use the 7. It's between the 6 and 7. We'll see how my tension is. And then you'll need a pair of scissors, and then a darning, weaving, tapestry needle. Let me get this very easy tutorial to you right away. Enseguida. Alright, so the multiple is 8, okay, and then plus 2. So we're going to chain out a multiple of 8 plus 2. But before we do that, we have to start with a slip knot. We make that by wrapping it around our finger, twisting, exchanging, wrapping this now around the finger that way, pulling this over that one and off your finger, while simultaneously pulling up on the loop that's still on your finger. Insert your crochet hook, and I did go with the 6 millimeter, the J US hook, and then into the hole and then pull it to tighten. Alright, so it's a multiple of 8 plus 2. So I'm going to go 8 times 2, which is 16, plus 2, which will take me to 18 chains. So I'm going to chain out 18. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, okay? So we have 18 chains. Remember, it's a multiple of 8. 8 times 2 is 16, and then plus 2, that gets us to 18. 16 plus 2 is 18, okay? And this is wide enough for the scarf that I want to make. Now we're going to skip the first chain. So this is the first chain next to the hook. We're going to go into the second chain from the hook. So 1, 2, second chain from the hook, and we're going to enter there and put a single crochet. Because we're making a single crochet, we do not yarn over before entering the stitch. So we just enter the stitch. Now we yarn over, pull through to the front. We have 2 loops, and we'll yarn over and go through 2. 1, 2. Now you guys, we're going to skip 3 chains. So this single crochet is in that chain, so we skip 1, skip 2, skip 3, and in this 4th chain, that next chain after skipping the 3, we're going to put 4 double crochet in there to start, okay? Because we're making the double crochet, we do yarn over first, okay, before entering the stitch. Now we enter the stitch, and we make our 4 double crochets. So you yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2, yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2. Yarn over, go back in there, in that chain. Yarn over, pull through to the front. You get 3 loops. Yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2. Yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2. Yarn over, go back into that same chain. Yarn over, pull through to the front, 3 loops. Yarn over, go through 2. Yarn over, go through 2. Yarn over, go back into that same chain. Yarn over, pull through to the front, 3 loops. Yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2. Yarn over, go through 2, 1, 2. Now that we have crocheted our 4 double crochet in that chain, we chain 1, so we take a break, give our hands a break from all that crocheting, and now we get back to work in that same chain. Yes, so we go back in there and put 4 more double crochet in there. Yarn over, re-enter that same chain, yarn over, pull through to the front, 3 loops. Yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. That's 1, 2, 3, and one more time, 4. Okay, and so that is what we get. How pretty, right? Now we are going to skip 3 more chains. Okay, so you can tell that that's the chain that we've been crocheting into. It made it really big, the space, but that's okay. So that right there is that chain. This is the next chain, so skip 1, skip 2, skip 3, and in this 4th one, instead of putting this pattern in there, we're going to keep it simple and put a single crochet. So remember, with the single crochet, you do not yarn over first. So we'll go into the marked chain and just put a single crochet. You don't have to leave that in there. I just left it in there just so you could clearly see where I was going. Okay? Now we are going to skip 3 chains again. So skip 1, skip 2, skip 3, 4. And in that one, that's where we're going to put 4 double crochet again. So 1, back in there, 4, 2, back in there, 4, 3, back in there for 4. Now we give our hands a break, chaining 1. Now we have 4 more to make in that same chain. So back in there for 1, back in there for 2, back in there for 3, and back in there for 4. Okay? And then we get another fan like that. Alright? Now we skip 3 chains again. So skip 1, skip 2, skip 3, and in that final chain, that's where we're going to put a single crochet. So just get in there and make your single crochet. Like that. Okay? If you had gone with a higher multiple, you guys, you would have more fans, right? Okay? Just like if we had gone with a smaller multiple, so instead of 16 we just did 8 plus 2 and chained out 10 stitches, then we would only have this fan. But regardless of how many you chain out, you should always end with a single crochet in that final chain. That was our foundation row. So now that we have completed our foundation row, we're going to start row 1. Okay, and FYI, you're going to repeat rows 1 through 4 for the duration of this video and the scarf. Okay, so we ended with the single crochet. Now we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. This will count as a double crochet. Okay, we'll turn our work, and now what we're going to do is put a double crochet into that same single crochet that chain 3 is coming out of. So the last stitch of the foundation row, that's where we're going to go in and put a double crochet. So yarn over, slice the icing off the top of the cake, yarn over, pull through to the front, 3 loops, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Now we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, those 5 chains are going to extend all the way over, and now we're going to put a double crochet in that single crochet. So we're skipping these 4 double crochet. Okay, we're skipping that chain 1, then we're skipping this set of 4 double crochet, and that takes us to the single crochet there. Okay, the dip. Okay, that's where we're going to put that double crochet. So yarn over after chaining 5, slice the icing off the top of the cake, yarn over, pull through to the front, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Okay, keep it loose. Make sure you're not too tight. Now we're going to chain 1 and then go back in there, same stitch, and make another double crochet like that. So basically, we chained 3, put a double crochet in the same stitch, then we chained 5 to get us across, then we put double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, all in that single crochet in the center. Now we're going to repeat. So we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to skip this fan, which is composed of 8 double crochet in total in a chain 1 space, right? And we're going to go to that stitch on the end, okay? That turning chain, and that's where we're going to put a double crochet first. So make a double crochet, like that. It's going to be a little weird at first, and then for symmetry's sake we're going to put another double crochet in there. Now I said for symmetry's sake because think about how we started this row. We started with chain 3, which counts as a double crochet, and then a double crochet. So essentially we have 2 double crochets beginning this row, and we want to end with 2 double crochets. Okay? Alright, so row 2, we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then technically we're going to chain 1 more because that's going to count as a chain 1 space eventually. Okay? So we've chained 4 for row 2. Turn our work. And now we're going to make 4 double crochet into that same first stitch there, that last double crochet on the end. So yarn over and put 4 double crochet in there. 1, 2, 3, and 4, like that. Okay, so that's what it looks like. Now we're going to find that chain 1 space that's in between this set of 4 double crochet at the beginning of the fan and this set of 4 double crochet that's at the end of that fan. There's the chain 1 space. And in that chain 1 space, that's where we're going to put a single crochet. So we're going to dip down and we're going to crochet over both the chain 1 space and that chain 5 that's kind of just floating there. Okay, like that. So 2 loops, yarn over, go through 2, and that's what we have. Okay. From there, we're going to start that pattern again of 4 double crochet, chain 1, 4 more double crochet. Now you might be wondering, where are we going to put it? Well, remember the double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in the center? That's where we're going to put it. So yarn over, because we're making a double crochet, enter that V in that chain 1 space and make 4 double crochet. So 1, back in there, for 2, back in there, for 3, give yourself some slack, back in there for 4. Now give your hands a break by chaining 1, go back in there for 4 more double crochet. 1, 2, 3. Don't forget, you guys can slow this down. 4. Okay. Alright, so now it's time to put another single crochet. Where do we put the single crochet? In the chain 1 space at the peak of the fan. So we'll go in there like that, but make sure you put this floating series of 5 chains on top as well, because you want to crochet over it. You want to get it together. You want to make it stationary. Now yarn over, pull through to the front, 2 loops for that single crochet, yarn over, go through 2, like that. When you crochet over the floating chains, it kind of reins it in, so it's not just flopping around out there, right? And now to end, remember you always want symmetry, so we're gonna basically end the way we started. We started with the chain 3 and then 4 double crochets, right? It's a chain 3 and then another extra chain for that space and then 4 double crochets. So we're going to end similarly. So we have this double crochet on the end and then the chain 3. And the top of the chain 3, that's where we're going to put the 4 double crochets. So 1, back in there, for 2, back in there, for 3, back in there, for 4. Now we're going to chain 1 and go back in there and put another double crochet like that. Okay? So this is what we have. At this point you may think, I've done something wrong because it's starting to like expand. Did I accidentally increase? No, you didn't. Don't worry, the next row will kind of rein it in. Okay? So starting row 3, you want to chain 1, turn your work, and in that same first stitch, that double crochet on the end, you're going to put a single crochet like that. Now we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. And in this single crochet there, the one that kind of brought the floating series of 5 chains and the chain 1 space together, in there we're going to put that V again, which is comprised of 1 double crochet. So yarn over, slice the icing off the top of the cake, yarn over, pull through to the front, make a double crochet, 1, 2, yarn over, go through 2 again. Now chain 1 and then go back in there, same place, and make another double crochet. Okay? Now we are going to chain 5 because we want to get across this big fan. Make your chains loose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That'll stretch us over here to that next single crochet, where we're going to put that combination of the double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in that single crochet as well. So yarn over, slice the icing off the top of the cake, yarn over, pull through to the front, 3 loops, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Now chain 1 and make another double crochet in that same single crochet there. For symmetry's sake, we think about what we did after we made those 2 stitches at the beginning. Well, we chained 2. We're almost at the end, so we want to chain 2. 1, 2. Alright, so now we're at the end, and at the beginning we started by chaining 1 and then putting a single crochet into that same stitch. So we're going to put a single crochet in the top chain of that chain 3. Okay, you can count up 1, 2, 3 to get you up to the 3rd stitch or the top chain. Technically it's not the top chain because remember you chained 4 there. Okay, that was the purpose of chaining 4, so 1 would count as a space. So the best way to do it would be to kind of turn your chains around so you can see the front and say 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's the chain I'm supposed to go into to make my single crochet like that. Alright, and you can see how after having completed row 3, it's starting to square out. It's not expanding as much as we thought it would, right? Moving on to row 4 now, the final row before we repeat. Okay, you're going to chain 1, turn your work, in that same first stitch, the same single crochet that the chain 1 is coming out of, we're going to put a single crochet, another one, so slice the icing, make a single crochet. In this V, that's where we're going to put a fan. Remember, the fan is composed of 4 double crochet, then a chain 1, then 4 more double crochet. So let's get to work. Yarn over, just go into that space, the chain 1 space, yarn over, pull through to the front, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2, and let's get to work. That's 2, back in there, 4, 3, back in there, 4, 4, take a break by chaining 1, get back to work, 4 more double crochet, that's 1, back in there, 4, 2, back in there, 4, 3, back in there, 4, 4. We've completed our fan. Okay, you see there's the series of 5 chains, and then you see there's a chain 1 space. That should tell you, now it's time to bring these 2 together. How do I bring them together? Oh yeah, the single crochet. So go in there in that chain 1 space that's in between the sets of 4 double crochet, put the floating series of 5 chains on top, and just make a single crochet, crocheting over both of them like that. Okay, now look, oh, here's another V. What goes in the V's? The fan. So that's the 4 double crochet, chain 1, 4 more double crochet. Let's get to work. In the space, 1, back in there, for 2, back in there, for 3, back in there, for 4, take a break, chain 1, get back to work, back in there, for 1, back in there, for 2, back in there, for 3, back in there, for 4. Remember, every time it is time to finish a row, you want to think about how you started it so you can maintain the symmetry. Well, I started with chaining 1 and then putting a single crochet in that very first stitch. So most likely I'm just going to put a single crochet because that chain 1 doesn't really count for anything. So here's that chain 1, but there's also the single crochet. So for this row, row 4, it's okay to just slice the icing off the top of the single crochet and make your single crochet there. Okay, like that. And because you didn't go all the way to the edge, it even helps to kind of bring it in more. It helps it to not do that, but to kind of help it stay straight. Okay, so those are the 4 rows. So we did the foundation row, and then we did 4 rows. You have some rows where you're making the fans, and then you have the alternating rows where you're making the V's and you're chaining a lot. Okay, let's go through it one more time. Alright, so we just completed a fan row, so that means the next row is a V row. And who remembers, how many do we chain for row 1? Ah, yes, 3. So chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Turn your work. In that same first stitch, we're going to put another double crochet. And I say another because that chain 3 kind of counts as a double crochet. We're going to put a double crochet there. Now we need to get across this fan, so we chain 5. 1, 2, loosely, 3, 4, 5. Alright, get across like that. That takes us to this single crochet where we're going to put a V. So yarn over, make a double crochet into the single crochet. Okay. Chain 1 and go back in there for another double crochet. And that creates the V. Okay. Now we have another fan. We got to get across. That means we have to loosely chain 5 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we're across and we're at the end. Remember, whenever you're at the end of a row, think about how you started it. Well, I started it with 2 stitches, one of which counted as a double crochet and the other of which was a double crochet. So basically 2 double crochet. So that's how I'm going to end it. So I'm going to yarn over, go into the turning chain, okay, make a double crochet, and then go back in there and make a second one for symmetry's sake. Okay. Remember, after you complete the V row, and I call the V row the rows where you have the V, okay, this series of 5 chains will not be attached to anything. It's not gonna become attached until you crochet the next row, so don't panic. Row 2 is the one where we start by chaining 3 again. 1, 2, 3. But then we chain a 4th one because that's going to count as the space. Basically, it's creating a V. Turn your work. And then in that same first stitch, we're going to put 4 double crochet. So slice the icing off the top of the cake and put 4 double crochet. Yarn over. Back in there for 2. Back in there for 3. Back in there for 4. Okay. Right now we see this floating series of 5 chains and a fan with a chain 1 space. Yeah, single crochet to bring it together. Like that. So you should be able to look at your work and see what needs to be done next. Here's a V. What do we do with V's? We put fans in them. So 4 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4. Take a break, chain 1, get back to work, 4 more double crochet. 1, it's world's quickest break, right? 2, 3, back in there for 4. Alright, that fan is complete. Alright, what do we have next? Series of floating chains and a chain 1 space. So I'm going to make a single crochet to bring them together because I like it nice and tight, right? And then we're at the end, or we're approaching the end, so what do? Well, look at how we started it. We started with the chain 3, that extra chain, that 4th chain, and then 4 double crochet. So we're going to do the same. In the top chain of that chain 3 there, and it is only 3 chains over here, okay, on this side, we're going to put 4 double crochet in there. Okay, so find the top chain and make 4 double crochet. 1, back in there for 2, back in there for 3, back in there for 4. Now chain 1 and go back in there for 1 more, which will be the 5th. Okay, and that's equivalent to the chain 3 that started the row. Okay, so when you after you complete row 2, that's when it starts to look like it's expanding. But don't panic. Remember that in row 3, the V row, that's when we're going to bring it in. Okay? So remember, chain 1, turn your work, and in that same first stitch, slice the icing and make a single crochet. Alright? Now we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. At this point, the last time we were here, you might have been wondering, why didn't we chain 5? Well, we don't have a full fan to go over across, right? We're just going over 4 double crochets versus 8. So we only need 2 chains to get us to the single crochet that's there. So that's why. What do we do in the single crochet? Well, we create the V. So I yarn over, slice the icing off the top of the single crochet down in the valley, yarn over, pull through to the front. Yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. Chain 1. Go back in there. And that's how we create the V stitch, like that. Now we have a full, respectable, big size fan. So now we chain loosely 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get us across, and we have another single crochet there in the valley. So that's where we create the V. Double crochet, chain 1, back in there for another double crochet. All right, now we're approaching the end. For symmetry's sake, we have to think about what did we do to start the row, and that'll tell us how to end the row. Well, we started with the chain 1 and single crochet, and then chain 2, and then the V. Well, we're at the V, so if we go backwards, what do we do before we make the V? Oh, we chain 2. So on this side, we're going to chain 2 after the V, okay? And then what did we do even before the chain 2 starting this row? That's where that single crochet was. So this chain 2 is going to skip those 4 double crochet, and in the third chain up, remember this is the side where we have the 4 chains, and the third chain up, that's where you're going to put your single crochet. If it helps you, you can turn these chains around so you can see the front of them and just count up 1, 2, 3. So right there, that's your third chain, and that's where you'll make your single crochet. And if you look closely, there's a chain, an extra chain in there, okay? And as promised, row 3 tightens things up. It's not going out that way so much, right? It's more so just staying straight. All right, we have one more row to crochet before the pattern repeats. So now we chain 3, 1, 2, 3. Turn our work. Now we have one more row, row 4, to crochet again before the pattern repeats. So remember, for row 4, you chain 1, turn your work, put a single crochet in that same single crochet, so the very first stitch of the row. And remember, in V stitches, that's where we put the fans. So 4 double crochet go in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, chain 1, take a break, get back to work. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? What do we see? Floating series of 5 chains and a peak, a chain 1 space there in the peak. So we know we need to make a single crochet there to bring it together, tighten it up. I run a tight ship. All right, what's next? So another V is here, so that's where we have to put another fan. So 1, 2, that same stitch, 3, all these are in that same stitch, same chain 1 space. 4, take a break by chaining 1, get back to work. 1, 2, back in there. 3, back in there. 4. Okay? We're near the end. Always think about what you did to start the row, and that'll clue you in as to how to finish it. Well, we started by chaining 1 and then putting a single crochet in that first stitch. Remember that chain 1 doesn't really count for anything. So on this edge, we'll just put a single crochet in that single crochet there. And that will help to further bring it in. You could put the single crochet in that turning chain, but it's better to put it in the single crochet. Okay? So this is what you have, guys. It's a very interesting pattern, right? And it's not hard. It's 4 rows that repeat and repeat and repeat. So I'm going to continue working on this, and then I'll meet you back when it's time to weave in the tail. See you there. Alright, you guys, I am about done with this. FYI, my scarf ended up measuring out to 55 inches long, which is about 140 centimeters, and also it has a width of 5 inches, which is about 12.5 centimeters. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is cut my yarn. I'm going to chain 1, cut my yarn, and fasten off. FYI, I did end this on row 3 of the pattern repeat because I wanted it to be somewhat symmetrical to the beginning. We started with like the row of chains, and so to achieve that sort of look, I also ended with one of the rows where you create chains, so it looks pretty similar. Okay, so now let's just weave in this tail right quick. Grab your darning weaving tapestry needle, through. Apologize for those of you who are struggling because of this color yarn with the white background. I changed the background to white or to a lighter color because everyone was saying it helps with the colors is too dark, but yeah, it's always something. You can't please everyone. So alright, so yeah, just go through the stitches in one direction. Normally I would go up in this top row, and I still could, but it's thin, right, because of the fact that it's chained. So I'm just going to go through some nearby stitches. It doesn't really matter where you go. Okay. And now I'm going to take a slightly different path back in the other direction. So to finish my stem, it doesn't matter exactly where you go, just as long as you go through some stitches to kind of secure your yarn, and then you will cut that down like that. Okay, and then you'll do the same thing with the other end. I suggest just going in that corner. The thing I like about this scarf is that it kind of has that C2C feel, right? Because it has the spaces. When you pull on it, not super tough, but just, you know, stretch it apart, it you kind of see the spaces there that you will see in your C2C projects, and I think that's really cool. Besides that, it's a beautiful pattern, right? I love this scarf, so beautiful, and the yarn is pretty cool too. I got this from Hobby Lobby, FYI. So there's a good chance that in the thumbnail you are going to see a scarf with fringe, because I think this would be a cool scarf to add fringe to. It doesn't have to have fringe, but you know, you guys know I like to be creative, so I might include some fringe. Adding fringe to the scarf is beyond the scope of this video. However, I will leave a card, so check out the card that should be displayed right now, and it'll show you how to add fringe to any scarf. Okay. Alright, you guys, well, this is take 20, my final take of the season. I've put out a good 10-11 more scarf tutorials, which was my goal for this season for 2022. So yeah, I'm pleased. This will be uploaded on the 24th, and so you'll have it before Christmas. That's going to be it for this video, but you know I'll see you in the next one. In the meantime, happy crocheting. So for those of you who stuck around, I want to give you a couple of tips to remembering the pattern, committing it to memory. The first tip is that you will always have 2 consecutive rows where you start with the chain 1 and the single crochet. Okay, so if you just completed a row where you started, you know, with the chain 1 and the single crochet, then that next row is going to be exactly the same way. Then after that, you switch to the rows, 2 more consecutive rows where you chain 3. Okay, so the first row will be a chain 3, and then that next row will be the chain 3 and then plus 1 more to create that chain 1 space before you crochet the 4 double crochets. Okay, as you work through the pattern, or if you've already worked through the pattern, this will make sense. Okay, so 2 consecutive rows of where you start with chain 1 and then the single crochet, and then after that, that's followed by 2 consecutive rows of starting the row with chain 3, and then that second row, don't forget to add a 4th chain to create that chain 1 space. Something else that will help you commit the pattern to memory is that in the valleys, okay, when you dip down, when you're working, your row where you're chaining across, in the valley there, just remember that in the valley you're going to put let me zoom in a little bit. On the rows where you're basically chaining across, okay, in the valley, in between the 2 fans, basically, the 2 shells, in the valley you always put the V stitch, okay? Remember, the V stitch is composed of double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in the same space, okay? So in the valleys, V for valley, you put the V stitch, okay? Also, in the V stitches, like these, like that's a V stitch, that's a V stitch, that's a V stitch, you always put your fans or your shells, okay? So those are just a couple of tips to help you commit the pattern to memory. It won't take long, especially if you're crocheting it, for a stretch at a time, because then you'll be reinforcing the pattern in your mind in a short amount of time. You can always go back to where I started, row 1, okay, and just keep playing that back over and over until you feel comfortable venturing off on your own. Alright guys, thanks for watching till the end. I'll see you next time.